The National Disability Insurance Scheme, or NDIS, is really starting to gather steam and getting a lot of momentum, becoming very popular with property investors. So like any investment, there are things that need to be considered and done correctly to ensure that we get a successful outcome. So in this video, I'm going to run through the 5 keys to successful NDIS investment. Thank you for joining me in this video. My name's Tim. I'm a property investment advisor, and I've been helping clients over the past 10 plus years to invest in property safely. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the NDIS investment opportunity is becoming very, very popular with investors, and the reason for that is because of the very high returns we can achieve through investing in an NDIS property. Now, and the returns we're talking about $100,000 plus a year, and we've never ever seen anything like this before in my years anyway as a investor and somebody who helps people invest as well. So it's really, again, with that type of return, it is something that is really gathering speed, and a lot of people are very, very interested in to find out how it works. So as I also mentioned earlier, like any investment, there are factors and processes that need to take place and need to be done correctly for a successful outcome to be achieved. So NDIS is no different. In fact, there's a lot of moving parts within the process. We've spent a good 12 months, even more, working through the process, building relationships with the key holders within the NDIS process. And we've also spent a lot of time pulling it apart and making sure that when we do present the opportunity to our clients, we know that we've done everything we can to ensure that we're going to get these outcomes. So I will leave my email address in the description. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I won't be answering questions via the YouTube channel. If you need questions answered, please, again, you can contact me via my email address. If you haven't watched my first video on NDIS, I'll leave a link in the description as well, and also at the end of this video, so you might want to watch that. It might cover a little bit more information, or certainly covers a little bit more information and a little bit more detail around the different processes and the responsibilities of the entities and the people involved in the NDIS process. So we'll run through what I think are 5 key factors that really need to be done properly to ensure we get the outcomes, because at the end of the day, you don't get the returns if the property isn't occupied. So there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things. There's a lot of people in this space right now, as I say, and that's fair enough. Like, when there's the demand, we need people to be able to provide and supply the service and the product, so that's fine, but again, it needs to be done the right way. So I'll run through with you these 5 key elements, and as I say, at the end of the video, I'm also going to provide you with some additional information that you might find helpful around funding, around some of the projected returns, etc. So at the end of the video, I'll add a little bit more so that you can, a little bit more information so you can have a look at that as well, and that might also help you with formulating your view and where you might stand around being able to invest in an NDIS investment property. Okay, so we'll start with the most important people involved in this process, and that is the participants. So the participants are people with disabilities who will occupy the completed property or the NDIS certified property, new property that's being built to meet their needs. So without participants, so if you've got a property that's been NDIS certified and completed, but participants aren't occupying the property, then there won't be any payments to be received. Just like a typical standard residential investment, commercial investment, if you don't have tenants in the property, you don't receive rent. So in this case, without participants occupying the property, you won't receive the NDIS payments. So it's very important that we consider participants first, and we base our model and our process on understanding the needs of the participants, where the level of demand is, and also to build the properties to match the requirements or the needs of the participants as well. So participants are number one, participants first. If you don't have participants ready to go occupy the property on completion, then you could cost yourself a lot of money, and it's a very, very risky way of going about it. So there are people who are building the properties and then telling the investors that you need to now liaise and work with the SDAs to locate participants. Our model is very much driven on participant first, so we build the property to suit the level of demand and also, again, the requirements of the particular participants who will be occupying the property upon completion. So number one is participants. Very, very important to this whole process. The second key element are the SDAs, or Specialised Disability Accommodation Providers. The SDAs that we work with have been in this space for 10 plus years. They've got very strong relationships with the care providers. They have multiple participant pathways, which is very, very important. So we have access to participants through the Department of Housing, SIL providers, and also public guardians, so there's and more. So it's important that to be able to have the participants occupy the property, we really need to make sure that we've got strong relationships with the SDAs. The SDAs also too are the entity that are legally able to process the NDIS payments. So in traditional form, if you like, the SDAs are the property manager as well. They inspect the property, ensure that they do audits, ensure that the property meets the NDIS standards and specifications, and then work with the investor or the owner on an ongoing basis for their, again, just like a property manager would. The difference, I guess, with NDIS is that we are talking about people who have disabilities. There's a lot of care goes into trying to allow the participants to live as independently as they can. So it's the relationship with the SCA, knowing that people like us actually care about the end product and care about the outcome for participants is very, very important. So again, I mentioned earlier that we spent a good 12 plus months working with the SDAs, proving ourselves, showing them that we do really care about the outcome. We're not just about the numbers. It is very much a very sensitive area, and the most important thing is to ensure that the final product suits the requirements of the participant. So to build that relationship and have that relationship, strong relationship with SDAs who have these multiple participant pathways is another very key, important element and a key factor to ensuring that, again, the outcome that we as investors are looking for. The third one we'll look at is the build itself. So our advice from our SDAs is that we build our properties to the new 2021 NDIS specifications. So we're doing that. We've done that for a while now, even though you can build a property under the old LHA model. Again, our advice is that we construct and have the properties built to the new 2021 NDIS specification. So right from the drawing stage, our clients know that the property will be built. It is NDIS certified right from the start, so that they know that the final product will gain that NDIS certification. So, and obviously it's important to have that, because without it, the participants cannot occupy the property. So it's a lot of peace of mind there. We know that we're getting a product that meets the future specifications, so we can do that. So there's not going to be any surprises or any hiccups during that process. So again, the building design, the inclusions, the specifications, all very, very important to ensure that they're all done correctly and everything's been included, so that at the end of the day, again, the participants can occupy the property. So when the property's NDIS compliant, you receive a 20-year NDIS certification, which effectively means that that property can be tenanted or occupied by NDIS participants, which means then as investors we're going to receive the NDIS payments for 20 years. So we'll gain that 20-year NDIS certification, which is very important. Obviously, we want to be able to have that property occupied by participants for as long as we can. It can be rolled over after 20 years, but again, initially it's a 20-year certification. So the fourth one is participant-driven design. So this comes to the design of the property, the layout, the number of bedrooms, the living areas, the layout of the block, all those sorts of things. Now, obviously there's specifications, there's a criteria that needs to be met to get the certification. However, we can also when we work closely with our SDAs as we do, we get feedback as to what the participants are actually looking for in a new property. So the layout and design, as we've spoken about. So we also need to ensure too that the property that's getting built is to, again, meet the participants that are coming in to occupy the property. So you'll see, and certainly if you gain a copy of our NDIS information pack via my email address, you'll see that there are different levels of disabilities within the participants themselves. So that obviously means that there are different requirements, different needs of participants. So it's important too that we understand too that with the robust participants, that is participants with mental disability, our feedback and our strong advice from our SDAs is that the properties should be built specifically to meet that incoming robust participant. So you can't just build a generic property under a robust design and then hope that you match the participant to the design of the property. Should be the other way around to ensure that you're going to get a tenant or a participant, I should say, as a robust participant to occupy the property. With the high physical support, there's inclusions that you can provide in the house design to ensure that they are living as independently as they can, again, above and beyond the specifications and the inclusions that need to be provided with the property to gain compliance. But we're working really closely to ensure that we're getting a really, really high quality end product, custom designed to meet the participants' requirements and needs. So I'm just going to add to the video just an example of the returns we can achieve with an NDIS investment property. So these returns are based on a 4-bedroom home. So it'd be 3 bedrooms to accommodate participants, and those participants will be of high physical support and also a room for a carer. So on-site overnight accommodation if the participants require 24-hour care. So with that particular model, that type of design of a property, again with those 3 participants, then you're going to look at return of the NDIS payment portion will be just over $124,000 a year. The RRC component, or the reasonable rental contribution component, will be just over $29,000 a year. So if we total those together, we're looking at just over $153,000 a year as a gross return to the investor. So again, very, very strong yielding properties, returns that we've never seen before. So these are real. You might be saying to yourself, well, it's too good to be true. They are true. They exist. They're there. Done correctly, those returns will be achieved. I also want to add that with our NDIS property options, they come with fixed price turnkey contracts, which means that there are no hidden costs, there's no additional costs, so it's all inclusive, so that at the end of the day, the client, as investors, we know that what we're getting and what it's going to cost us, and that will also to then allow those returns to stay as we've calculated. So it's important that we understand also too with an NDIS house, the NDIS build, on average it costs about $100,000 to $150,000 more than building the equivalent size standard residential property. So to accommodate all the specifications or inclusions that are required to get NDIS certification, it's an additional cost of around $100,000 to $150,000. So we want to ensure for our clients that the contract price is again fixed, and also too they can see exactly what the specifications are obviously, but also what the inclusions are included within the contract as well. So we want to make sure that there is fixed price. We know what we're working to. We know what the returns we're going to like. We don't want any surprises or nasty surprises for our clients during the build. We know at the beginning what it's going to look like. That's what it will look like at the end, ready for those participants to occupy the property. I'm also just going to touch on financing an NDIS investment property purchase. So if you're looking to acquire a property, NDIS property, using a lender or a bank, then we all understand that there is tighter lending criteria at the moment. It's getting better, it's easing. However, the nature of the environment and the conditions we work into is such that the lender's valuers are not always taking into consideration the additional costs to build an NDIS property, which means, and I've said another way, is that the valuation figures, valuation amounts are coming in lower than the contract price. So what we're explaining to our clients and to investors is that they're really going to need around about 30% of the purchase price in available capital, so equity and or cash, to be able to finance an NDIS investment property purchase. Right now also too, there's really NAB as the front runner. They're the lenders that are a go-to, if you like, or the main lender that is financing or providing finance for NDIS property purchases. Westpac is starting to come on board. There are a couple of other second-tier lenders that are happy to lend to NDIS purchases. However, we have found that we've had clients say, well, look, I've got a very good relationship with another lender that I haven't mentioned, and yeah, they go through that process of trying to get a loan approved to find that no, in fact, you're right, those lenders won't finance or lend to an NDIS property purchase. So just be aware of that. As I say, around about 30%, 30% of the purchase price in available capital, equity and or cash. You'll see that lenders quoting that they will lend to 80%. So an 80-20 lend, meaning you only have to put in a 20% deposit. That is true if the property's value up to contract price. But as I say, if the valuation comes in short, the lender will only go to 80% of that valuation figure, which means there'll be a shortfall. And as I say, that means we require as investors to have a little bit more capital available to complete on a deal, an NDIS investment property purchase. Well, thank you for sparing some time to watch the video. I hope the information was helpful. As we've seen, outstanding returns, very, very strong yielding properties. Little bit of a challenge around financing, but at the end of the day, if the process is followed the right way, have the strong relationships with the entities and the people involved in the process, then the outcomes are outstanding. And it is a win-win situation. You know, we're helping participants move into brand new accommodation that's been custom designed to meet their requirements and their needs. And on the other side, the investors are getting these very, very strong returns. So look, if you require any additional information or you want to get in touch with me, please feel free to do so. My email address is in the description below the video. No pressure, not looking to sell you anything, really just about providing information so people can make an informed decision. We can help you through the process. We have these strong relationships. We're getting these outcomes. So we've done all the hard work. We can help clients and investors work through that process, holding their hand, if you like, if I can say it that way, them knowing that they're going to get a quality product, the NDIS certification, and then obviously participants occupying the property at the end. So we're here through the beginning, right through the build, right through that process, and then beyond as well. So we've been doing this for 10 plus years. The NDIS opportunity is sensational, done the right way, everyone wins. So look, thanks for sparing the time, and I wish you all the best with your journey.